It is 6 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on a Friday, May 10th. Hey, everybody, I'm Brian Wilson. You know what? Let's put this week to bed, this work week to bed, so we can get on to a really nice weekend. But before we do that, we got to get you home safely. And while you're trying to get home safely here on the drive, we're going to try to bring you some news and information and maybe a smile along the way. We'll try. We'll do our very best. I want to start with a 2024 update, but this is a little different than most of our 2024 updates because we have to just point out that the President of the United States is losing it. I mean, he just continues to just not have a fundamental grasp of the facts. He stumbles and stutters and mumbles and bumbles his way across the public stage. The other day, it's kind of hard to talk about it on the radio because on radio we don't have pictures. But he walked up the short stairs to Air Force One. I mean, the short stairs. They give him the short stairs because they know he can't navigate the tall stairs that most presidents have used since Air Force One has been in existence. Now he uses the little, service stairway down at the bottom of the aircraft so he doesn't have to climb as many steps, at least not as many steps on camera. And he gets to the top of the steps and, I mean, he looked woozy there he was like bobbing and weaving and had to brace himself. I mean, he's weak. And he's feeble-minded, and he keeps living in this delusional world. I mean, I don't know whose fault that is. I get the impression that probably it has something to do with the staffers, and they are feed him a lot, pump him a lot of sunshine, and don't really tell him the truth about everything. And that's why the other day on this interview that he did with Aaron Burnett of CNN, who I have to give credit to, asked some great questions about the economy and are you going to have time to turn it around? And he doesn't think it needs to be turned around. He thinks it is turned around. But, I mean, this whole thing was just getting him blasted, and I'll get into some of that. But it's been pointed out that one of the things that he said, which is really quite shocking, is that when he took office, he claims that he had inflation that was at 9%. Here's what he said.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
The president says that when he came to office, the inflation rate was 9%. No, it rose to 9% during his time in office. When he arrived in office, inflation was running at 1.4%. Oh, the Fed would love to have that now. 1.4% is what it was. And then it ran up to 9%. And remember, then they told us, it's just transitory. Oh, it won't be here very long. Oh, it'll go away. And it's still, the inflation has continued to be sticky even to this day. Sticky. They can't get it to 2%, which is where the Fed says it needs to be if they're going to lower interest rates. It won't go down. It is sticky inflation. So, he can't get even the basic facts right. And this is either a complete misunderstanding, a complete misstatement, or a bald-faced lie.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
No, 1.4, Mr. President, 1.4%. I mean, this interview was a disaster. He seems to, like, when Aaron Burnett starts to lay out even the basic facts about where we are economically in America today, he gets this look on his face of horror, like, where are you getting those facts? That's not what I've been told.
It's also true right now, Mr. President, that voters by a wide margin trust Trump more on the economy. They say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
By the way, great line of questioning. I mean, she really, that's what it's all about. She just laid out fact. Are you going to have time to fix this?
We've already turned it around. Look.
We've already turned it around, he says.
Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of the American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape.
Well, I don't know. I have not seen this Michigan survey, but it seems like to me, I mean, I read just about every dadgum survey that comes down. I've not seen this one. I mean, they're cherry picking this stuff that they're feeding the president.
The polling data has been wrong all along.
Yeah, because I don't believe the polls except that Michigan, which I do believe, which nobody seems to know what Michigan survey he's talking about. You know, yeah, I don't believe the polls unless they're good. Hang on, here we go.
You know, how many, you guys do a poll at CNN, how many folks you have to call to get one response?
Irrelevant.
The idea that we're in a situation where things are so bad, the folks that, I mean, we've created more jobs. We're in a situation where people have access to good paying jobs.
You know, he says this all the time. We've created more jobs. Really, honestly, maybe there have been a few jobs that have been created by Joe Biden. But the real truth of the matter is that most of the jobs were going to come back anyway because jobs went away during the pandemic. And as we came out of the pandemic, those jobs were always going to return. He didn't really create them. That was just the natural nature of things that were going to happen after the pandemic.
And the last I saw, the combination of the inflation, the cost of inflation, all those things, that's really worrisome to people. With good reason. That's why I'm working very hard to bring the cost of rentals down, to increase the number of homes that are available.
What can a president do to make homes available when interest rates are at 7%? I mean, isn't it the economy that drives, you know, home building? I mean, if people can't afford to buy homes, they're not going to build them. When interest rates are at 7%, you're not going to have a lot of new home building going on. That's just not going to be the way it is. But he doesn't seem to understand that it's his high inflation that keeps interest rates high, and interest rates are high, meaning that not many people are going to be building new homes right now or buying them.
Well, let me say it this way.
Mm-hmm.
When I started this administration, people were saying there's going to be a collapse of the economy. We have the strongest economy in the world.
What? Say it again. Yeah.
In the world.
In the world. Well, that's not true.
So GDP last week was far short of expectations.
Oh, it wasn't. Look, GDP is still growing. Look at the response of the markets. Overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelmingly positive. And one of the reasons why people feel good about it not being as strong as it was before is they believe that the Fed's going to respond.
They hope they're going to get a rate cut.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, no president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs.
Yeah, that's a little thing.
Bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office.
Wrong, of course.
9%. But look, people have a right to be concerned.
Be concerned.
Ordinary people. The idea that you bounce a check and you get a $30 fee for bouncing the check, I changed that. You can't charge more than $8.
But why are they bouncing checks? Because they don't have enough income to cover all their needs.
That. Or your credit card, your late payment.
Why are there late payments? Because you don't have enough money to cover all of your needs, and so you have to put food and the basics of necessity on a credit card.
$35. I mean, there's corporate greed going on out there, and it's got to be dealt with.
Oh, my gosh. You know, he's getting blasted for these. This seems to be completely out of sync because people don't feel that way. I mean, you know, you can point to some metrics that show that the economy is bouncing back after the pandemic. Okay, that was probably going to happen anyway. But you know, people don't feel like it because they're working hard. The inflation is robbing their dollars. They may have even gotten a raise, but the raises aren't keeping up with the rate of inflation. So you're going backwards. And basically, you know, let's talk about it. Somewhere between 20 and 30% more in cost. Living life costs you 20 to 30% more than it did when he became the president of the United States. A lot of the criticism is coming from people in his own party, like David Axelrod, who often speaks for Obama.
I don't understand this. I don't understand all these months later. You know, I thought they spent $25 million mistakenly last fall touting Bidenomics and making the same argument that the president's making here. It is absolutely true. The world was plunged into an economic crisis, and America was plunged into an economic crisis by the pandemic, and we've come back faster than almost any other country. And he's right about that, but that's not the way people are experiencing the economy. They're experiencing it through the lens of the cost of living. And he is a man who's built his career on empathy. Why not lead with the empathy? And I think he's making a terrible mistake. It may not be, if he doesn't win this race, it may not be Donald Trump that beats him. It may be his own pride.
Because he can't accept the fact that he has not turned the economy around. Why? Because I think the little dweebs that work at the White House are always telling him, "Oh no, it's great. Everything's just great." James Carville.
Well, let me join the head scratching. Okay, I don't think if people don't feel like they're in a good economy, you can't convince them. And I think there's a bunch of Ivy League economists, academic types that go in and say, "Sir, this is the best economy we've had since 1969. You have to go out and promote it." And that's not the world people are living in. And I agree with the critics that this is not the proper messaging. If you're 26 years old, you have no hope of buying a house, of educating children. You're probably living in the basement with your sister and your mother and daddy's house. And when President Biden tells how good the economy is, your reaction is, what's that guy talking about? But if you hold in a 3.5% mortgage, you're golden right now. But if you're trying to borrow a mortgage at 7%, you're not very golden.
Well, and this is exactly right. Carville and Axelrod are right, and he's out of step, and it probably is going to hurt him. Because when people hear this, they just roll their eyes. Well, what planet do you live in? I think it's one of these things that happens, and you got to be, when you're a president of the United States, you got to be aware of this. You got to be, you don't have to go buy groceries. You don't have to pay for gasoline. Most presidents don't even carry cash on them. In fact, when Biden goes on one of his ice cream runs, they go by with the credit card earlier and give them the number so that they can swipe the number after they leave for whatever, the president whatever tab he runs up. He doesn't do that. He's got people for that. And so, you lose track. Just like, I don't do the grocery shopping. I can't tell you what a loaf of bread costs right now. But I know that when I talk to Cabana Wife, she tells me, groceries are more expensive. They're really a lot higher. And I can read the metrics, but I don't know. He doesn't know any of it. I think presidents should be required to pump their own gas. I think they should be required to do their own grocery shopping. I think they should be required to get out and live more like real people live so that they have an understanding. But this guy doesn't. And it's going to cost him the election. I mean, Donald Trump says, by the way, you got Biden say, well, look at the markets. Donald Trump says, yeah, the markets are up because people are expecting that I'm going to win. He actually predicted today, and we'll hear it a little bit later, that if he's not elected, that we're going to have a crash in the markets that will rival 1929 and the Great Recession. And he may not be too far off the point. It's 20 minutes now past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Colleges nationwide having to make a tough decision what to do with these pro-Palestinian protests. A big decision coming out of New York, and an update on some of those popular baby names coming out of the nation. 3:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, that's Mac Moore. He's got all our stories. He's also, of course, the star of the Runaway Hit segment that we like to call Mac Moore's Wide, Wacky World of Sports. We got to nail that name down.
Maybe write it down
Maybe I should write it
one
down
of these
and
days.
put it on a Post-it note so I can just read it.
And we've got a new strategy for today's segment, doing less current events, more of a hypothetical question for you guys regarding sports that I'm excited about.
Well, you're going to ask me a hypothetical question about sports. I'm not sure I'm going to have the answer, but I'll do my best.
You will.
All right. And there's Chris Webber in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons, which we hope will continue to be blinky buttons after we have, the next big thing to happen.
Uh-oh.
Have you heard about this?
What's happening now?
The MCE, the mass coronal ejection.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Solar flares.
Is that
are
happening
headed
now?
Well, it started Wednesday, but apparently it hit most of Africa and knocked out some radio transmissions. But yeah, but they say I'll get into it in a minute. But they say that there's a hypothetical possibility that even here in Tennessee, you might be able to see, if the conditions are correct, the Northern Lights. I think we're sort of out of the edge of it. We're right on the edge.
That'd be pretty cool.
It'd be cool. I've heard that people have seen them here before, but it would be well, I'll save the rest of that for a moment. Tornadoes. I want to talk briefly about tornadoes, and then bring you up to date on all my critters. We have I got a bunch of critters. At least 6 tornadoes this week in the state of Tennessee. Let me go through them all. The big one, of course, was the Columbia, Tennessee tornado. It was a EF3, by far the largest, half-mile wide, 11 miles on the ground. Touchdown at 5:37 east of the city near Lofton Road. Continued for about 30 minutes before it lifted near Flat Creek and Spring Hill. Multiple homes received damage along Cawthron Road and Cranford Hollow Road before the tornado moved north of Highway 412. The more intense damage began to occur on Old Highway 99 and Blackburn Lane, where large sections of roofs were removed and hundreds of trees were snapped or uprooted. It was on Blackburn Lane when the tornado reached its maximum strength, and that's where the woman was killed when her mobile home was swept away. There's that. Rutherford County, EF0, near Bell Buckle, 80 mile an hour, touchdown in Eagleville, traveled under 3 miles to Bell Buckle. They were buckled up in Bell Buckle. And let's see, Robertson County tornado. It was an EF1, speeds of 90 miles an hour in Robertson County near Springfield. No specific details about that storm have been released. Giles County, EF2, that's a pretty good size one. 115 mile an hour wind, 600 yard wide, traveled about 5.7 miles, stopped just west of I-65 in Giles County. One person critically injured as a result of that tornado. And then, let's see, survey crews found just a small little EF0 in Wilson County. The only damage was to trees, 70 miles an hour, traveled about a half mile. And then there's an EF1 tornado that touched down Monday afternoon in DeKalb County, outside of our area, about 3.3 miles, 100 mile an hour. No injuries reported in either of those Monday storms. So there were 6.
Wow.
And when we were in it, it felt like there were 12. Some of these rotations never really apparently came down that we were monitoring, but you got to monitor them. You got to let people know because, things they may be rotating in the clouds, but at any moment they can drop. And that's what, that's unpredictable, still unpredictable about tornadoes. Quick update. Cicadas are still I've got cicadas everywhere. My front of my garage was covered with, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 cicadas on the garage door.
The cicadas or the holes?
No, the actual cicadas.
Actual cicadas, yeah.
All my cicadas have come out of the holes, I think.
Yeah, there was one of the holes stuck on the door that I came in down here at the building here. It's sitting on the door frame, and I thought, oh, okay.
And yesterday, I told you I thought I had a robin with a nest. It turned out to be a cardinal because I just got a quick look at it. A cardinal. Yesterday, 2 eggs. Today, 4 eggs.
Oh.
And the mama cardinal is going to be sitting on a nest of at least four little baby cardinals.
Very nice.
Right outside my window, where I'm going to get. It's so easy for me to just go over and peek down on top of the nest.
Yeah, just check on them.
I'll be checking. We will have at one point a baby cardinal mic will be installed so we can hear the mama feeding the little baby birds. That's right. Won't that be adorable? Won't that be adorable?
For a few seconds, and then it'll be like, all right, get rid of that.
Enough of that. All right. Well, it couldn't be any more irritating than cicada mic yesterday.
That's true.
It's time for the news at 3:30.
Thirty minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 66 degrees. Got a bit of an overcast right now on Music Row. Flood advisories in effect. Got 2 right now in Middle Tennessee. One at Harpeth River at Bellevue affecting Davidson and Williamson counties. And then another at Stones River near Donaldson affecting Davidson County, both until sometime after midnight tonight. Full weather forecast, traffic report coming up 5 minutes. Colleges nationwide deciding what to do about graduation due to pro-Palestinian protests. The University of Southern California held a party for graduates last night instead of a traditional ceremony. Other schools making their decisions. Here's Alex Stone.
At the University of Arizona, police moved in, making arrests and clearing out protesters and their encampments. At Pomona College in Southern California, there's a protest encampment set up on the stage where graduation is supposed to be. Lane is one of the pro-Palestinian protesters.
We are finding ways to still allow students to celebrate their accomplishments while not permitting business as usual.
Pomona College says it will soon announce how it will handle graduation.
And today in New York, the UN General Assembly has voted to support a Palestinian bid to become a full UN member. 143 votes in favor, 9 against, including the U.S. and Israel. 25 countries abstained. It does not grant full membership, but does recognize them as qualified to join. And an update on what the most popular baby names are in America. Here's Chuck Sievertson.
For the 5th year in a row, Liam and Olivia topped the list of baby names for brand new boys and girls in the U.S., according to the Social Security Administration. Mateo joins the top 10 baby names list for the first time. The agency annually tracks the names given to girls and boys in each state dating back to 1880. The next most popular boy baby names are Noah, Oliver, and James. For girls, Emma, Charlotte, and Amelia.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
You should let the team at Restoration Wellness Med Spa help you achieve your summer goals. They're the leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. And since summer is right around the corner, you really do want to be looking good for your bathing suit, going to the beach, putting on your shorts. Call the Restoration Wellness team at 615-470-8124 or visit them on their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, I am using them to lose weight, and it's working. Cabana wife and I are both on their plan. My friends Carly and Jamie will take good care of you like you're one of their own. So be part of 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program. Weight loss can increase your energy, improve your quality of sleep, and it can enhance your overall health. And these are customized treatments. It's not a one-size-fits-all program. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, lifestyles, and goals. So whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest technology in weight loss management. Just go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air for you as we try to wrap the week up and get you off to a good start for what is going to be a gorgeous weekend. I think we're going to have a lot of clear skies and temperatures in the mid to upper. I've heard Sunday, Mother's Day Sunday, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mother's Day is Sunday, and that's maybe 80 degrees.
Nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Abundant sunshine at 80 degrees. We've had all kinds of things. It's almost like it's the end of times. Remember when we had the earthquakes not long ago, and we've had floods and tornadoes here, and it wasn't long ago that we had this thing, the total eclipse of the sun, which, it's almost apocalyptic in ways. And now, are you ready for the next thing that is hitting us maybe even now? The coronal mass ejection.
Talk to your doctor if he's experienced total coronal ejection or whatever.
The coronal mass ejection. This is what you'd have to say. This is what is also known as solar flares.
Oh, yeah. You
Solar
can
flares.
get cream for that.
Yeah. I've been putting some of that cream on a couple of spots lately, right here. So not to overshare. No, I'm telling you, we don't see warnings put up like this very often. We have believe it or not, there are people in the world whose sole responsibility is to monitor solar activity. Why? Well, when you have these coronal mass ejections, these gigantic solar flares, if they come in the right direction, they can impact Earth. Now, what happens when that happens? Well, you start to lose things like maybe your GPS will cease to function for a while. Maybe you have some interruptions in cell phones. Satellite technology is impacted by this. There was one remarkable case, I think, back in the 1800s, back when we had telegraphs, where we had one that completely fried telegraph systems around the country. I mean, it can have an impact on electrical grids and telephone systems and communication devices, and it really, honestly, it is something that they have to watch very closely, and it is happening as we speak now. Actually, the first solar flare came and hit the Earth. We were not in the path because the Earth was turned. Our part of the Earth was turned away from it at the time. But that was Wednesday, and I think they had some communication disruptions in Africa and parts of Europe. At least, here it comes. 5 streams of plasma.
This is actual audio from the sun.
This is what it sounds like?
Yeah, apparently.
How do they know? There is no sound in space.
Apparently there is.
No, there's no sound in space.
These are solar winds.
Well, they've attached a sound to it.
It says it was captured by a solar probe.
Well, there's no sound. Now, maybe they're interpreting the data.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks not good, but anyway.
At least 5 streams of plasma, known as coronal mass ejections, are headed toward Earth, prompting the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to issue a severe geomagnetic storm watch for Friday into the weekend. This is the first such alert aired since 2005, when the Earth was hit with the highest dose of radiation in a half century. This time around, the unusual event could disrupt electronic devices like GPS, parts of the power grid. NOAA said while citing it may also drape, are you ready for this? This is the upside to it, a huge portion of the country as far south as Alabama in colorful aurora borealis.
Would be cool.
The northern lights. Look, I think we're on the edge, but we might see, it's technically, they say, possible that if everything happens just correctly, that here in Tennessee, if the skies are clear tonight and Saturday night and maybe into Sunday, we might be able to see northern lights here in Tennessee.
I've never seen those, so that would be pretty neat.
It's on my bucket list. Before I die, I'm going to go somewhere where I see the northern lights. It's the one thing I want to go see more than anything. In it, officials explained how the expulsions of matter and magnetic fields from the celestial body's atmosphere could cause problems for millions of Earthlings as soon as noon Eastern time on Friday. So it's underway now. And again, you may notice nothing. But if you, for example, if you're out driving around and your GPS is acting a little wonky, wouldn't be surprising.
Start spinning in circles.
That's right. You get the spinning circle of death.
Just don't do that with your car if
that's right.
The GPS does it.
Space weather forecasters have issued a severe G4 geomagnetic storm watch for the evening of Friday. Additional solar eruptions could cause geomagnetic storm conditions to persist through the weekend. It went on before describing the abnormal activity that tipped space specialists off. A large sunspot cluster has produced several moderate to strong solar flares since Wednesday at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. At least 5 separate flares were associated with these CMEs, coronal mass ejections, that appear to be directed toward Earth. I don't want people to freak out. It sounds
bad. Yeah.
It sounds bad. But I mean, chances are, you may never even notice a thing. But it is an unusual thing, and they have to be ready for it. I'll tell you the place I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be on the International Space Station right now.
Ooh, yeah. That could be scary.
I'm sure they have a plan for that, but because this is something they have to be prepared for, because it can happen at any time. We are in a period of solar maximus. You have two different cycles of the sun. There is a period of relative coronal, calmness, and that's called solar minimus. And then you have, and I remember back when we were doing the total eclipse of the sun, they were talking about how we were in the middle of solar maximus. And the reason that they pointed that out was, it was entirely possible that, when the moon had blotted out the sun, that you could see in the ring of fire, that you could see some mass ejections. You often see them. They're just not always directed in the direction of Earth. That's the thing that, the sun is a ball. They eject from all different directions. So anyway, look, if you have friends up north of here, if you're in Minnesota, Michigan, you're going to get a show. You're going to get a real light show. There's pretty little doubt of that. But technically, they're saying as far south as the Alabama line, or maybe just barely into Alabama. That's an unusual thing. So tonight, you might want to go out.
Yeah, I'll take a peek.
And take a peek. I wouldn't get my hopes up, but it is, I think, possible that we could see something. I would love to see that. Here's another story from the Financial Post. This is the first time since January of 2005 they've issued such a storm watch, the second highest on the 5-step scale. So this is not like the big. They get bigger. Watches at this level are very rare. The Space Weather Prediction Center said, we will be protected by Earth's magnetic field. Unprepared electric grids could be disrupted. Pipelines could be charged, and spacecraft could be knocked off course. The last time the Earth was hit by a G5 storm, the worst on the scale, was October 2003. That caused power outages in Sweden and damaged transformers in South Africa. The true storm power will be known about 60 to 90 minutes before it hits Earth, as satellites measure inbound bursts of it. We got satellites way out there. They give us a 60 to 90 minute warning. And you know why that is? What they do, if it's really bad, they tell all the satellite operators, and they all monitor this stuff, shut down. You might want to just shut down your satellite to protect it. Or take certain actions to put up the special shielding if you have it.
Bring in the cushions, so to speak.
That's exactly what it is. The culprit is a sunspot cluster, the sun, which rolls through an 11-year cycle in which the number of spots waxes and wanes. Who says that anymore? Is approaching the peak of the current one that began in December of 2019. So we get them, not of this size and magnitude, but we do get them. All right, now I have another story here. This is from thehill.com, and it says 6 questions. I don't like these kinds of stories. 5 things you need to know. How serious is it? Not a big risk to Earth-based systems, but it is rare and serious. Like tornadoes and hurricanes, they are rated on a 5-point scale. This is supposed to be a G4 event. All right. This is think of it as sort of like a solar tornado warning. It's coming. We know it's coming. And so we want to we have some rotation in the clouds, that kind of thing. Here it is. Here's the one I was looking for. Listen to this. The worst geomagnetic storm in recorded history was the 1859 Carrington event, which is named for the astronomer who had noticed the unusual spots on the surface of the sun. The effects hit Earth 18 hours later. That's how long it takes solar energy to leave the sun and arrive at Earth, 18 hours. The geomagnetic storm, a G5, caused sparks to fly from doorknobs, blocked telegraph wires, and caused auroras to be visible as far south as the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
So completely were the wires under the influence of the aurora borealis that it was utterly impossible to communicate between the telegraph stations and the lines had to be turned off, wrote the telegraph manager of the Rochester Union and Advertiser at the time. Many of the effects were spooky. Birds woke up and sang in the bright light of the storm. Telegraph workers across the eastern seaboard were able to shut off their batteries and transmit messages only the induced current of the aurora power. How about that? The coming storm could reach levels within hailing distance of the Carrington event, Dalto reporters. A modern Carrington-class storm would be a very big deal, wrote Catherine Schultz in the New Yorker. A National Academy of Sciences report found that extensive damage to satellites would compromise everything from communications to national security. Extensive damage to the power grid would compromise everything. Anyway, this is not a Carrington event, but can you imagine being in the Caribbean and looking up and seeing a coronal mass ejection causing the aurora borealis?
That'd be scary today. I can only imagine back in those times how scared
when you really didn't know. You know, there wasn't a communication system, there wasn't an internet, there wasn't a way to get information out. That's sort of like, when the hurricanes would come in. We didn't know when they were coming in. You know, they would just show up. That's why the Galveston hurricane was so devastating, is nobody knew it was coming. There was no warning at all. Well, we're in much better shape now. We know at least to prepare. Anyway, everybody walk out tonight. You might get to see, there's a small chance you might get to see the Northern Lights in Tennessee, of all things. 51 minutes past the hour. When it comes to large home repairs, many times homeowners pretend they don't see the warnings. I don't want to look. I might find out that I'm in for a lot of money. Well, here's the truth. It could be something big that needs to be fixed. That's true. It could be a small problem that would become bigger over time, so it might be good to nip it in the bud. Or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line is, we don't have the expertise, you and I, to understand this stuff, but we can turn somewhere. United Structural Systems, over 25,000 satisfied residential customers. And here's what they do. They come out to your house. They're not out to upsell you or try to sell you stuff that you don't need. They're just out to find out what your problem is, and then they'll tell you how it can be fixed. And if you decide to go forward, it doesn't cost a penny until you are completely satisfied with the work and it's completely done. That's right. It's the way you want to do business. They've been around for 25 years. Wow. In fact, a lot of people who started with the company are still with the company 25 years later. USS homeowners trust USS. They keep homes dry and stable, and they guarantee their best at USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, online at USSTN.com. Or call them at this number, 615-488-7855.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Populations of animals. Think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And got my first commission in 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got my first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
Wow!
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
A war in Ukraine update. New details surrounding the 10-year-old out of Murfreesboro that was sucked into a storm drain, had to have his heartbeat reestablished. A big lawsuit here in the volunteer state, and recovery continues in Utah after an avalanche. Those stories and more at 4 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials up 125 points. That's strongly in the green. S&P up 8. NASDAQ down about 5. So mixed boards today. But the Dow is above 100 points, and that's the 8th winning day, the best week of this year thus far. What's driving the markets? What's driving the economy? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, you're right. It's actually the best week the Dow's had since December. The S&P was actually up for the third week in a row, all three up for the week in terms of the indexes. Very little economic reports that was due this week, but today consumers really turned their attention towards the consumer sentiment report that came out. And, that fell significantly lower than the expectations were to 67.4. So it appears consumers might be feeling less confident about the economy right now, but next week is a huge week. Consumers, investors, and the Fed especially is going to be watching the very, very important Consumer Price Index, which is a major inflation gauge. That comes out on the 15th. It's going to give us an idea of whether inflation is continuing to go up or headed back down. So important report next week.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And you can find out about some of the things that they can do for you to make you prepare for your retirement, help you prepare for your retirement over at Beacon Capital Management by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. We got 3 more hours to go here of the drive on this Friday, including 2 big rounds of Phone Your FARB Friday. Stay with us, everyone. It's time for the news at 3:59. Right after this. If you're in the market for a pole barn, the 2 brothers that run Stoltz Co. are the 2 guys you need to talk to. Exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices. They can build a pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind, and that is the Stoltz Co. difference. Now, pole barns, they're really remarkable. They can be used for all kinds of things. Can be a classic tool barn, could be a work barn, could be a place where you keep your horses. It could be a place where you actually live.
.402, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 66 degrees in Nashville, mostly cloudy. We have 2 flood advisories in effect in Middle Tennessee, one at Harpeth River at Bellevue affecting Davidson and Williamson counties, another at Stones River near Donaldson affecting Davidson County. Those both in effect until after midnight tonight. Traffic, complete weather forecast, 5 minutes. A war in Ukraine update. Russia has stepped up its offensive around the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv and some other areas. National Security spokesperson John Kirby in this afternoon's briefing highlighted what kind of weapons the U.S. will send to Ukraine to defend itself, all part of a new $400 million drawdown package.
Today, the president signed another $400 million drawdown package for Ukraine, which includes additional artillery ammunition, air defense interceptors, and anti-aircraft missiles, armored vehicles, artillery rounds, javelin and anti-armor systems, and other equipment needed to defend Kharkiv and other areas that are under threat.
And Congress's month-long delay passing that supplemental, John Kirby says that put the Russians at an advantage and will now take Ukraine time to regain that initiative. Here in Tennessee, slight improvement is how Rutherford County Schools Director Jimmy Sullivan describes the condition of his 10-year-old son, Asher, who was swept into a storm drain after Wednesday's storms. Channel 4 says about 100 people showed up at a prayer vigil for the Sullivan family yesterday.
We're praying, and we're praying constantly. This family is dear to the community. He's the superintendent for the county school. I work for the city school, but he's the county. Their oldest son has had cancer and is in remission, and we thank God for that, but they need a lot of prayer.
Asher was pushed through the drains for nearly 15 minutes before he was found, and CPR reestablished his heartbeat, but his lungs are severely damaged and has little brain activity. Right now in the volunteer state, a single mother in Nashville, 40-year-old Jennifer Gooch, won nearly $32 million against Smyrna Ready Mix Concrete. In September of 2020, Gooch was driving on Eaton's Cree Road when the driver allegedly ran a stop sign and hit the left side of her vehicle. Her vehicle was totaled, and Gooch suffered severe back and ankle injuries. At first, the jury awarded Gooch $1.8 million for her injuries and medical expenses, but in punitive damages, a $30 million penalty was assessed. And the bodies of 2 skiers killed in an avalanche on Thursday outside of Salt Lake City have now been recovered. A third skier escaped the snow. Alex Stone.
Using helicopters to get to the avalanche area on Friday morning, search and rescue teams were able to reach the bodies of the 2 skiers who were overcome by snow. Utah Highway Patrol Sergeant Alan Jensen took part in the search on Thursday.
We went in knowing where they were at. There was one survivor there, so we had a location of where they were.
That survivor dug himself out, but the other 2 skiers, 23 and 32 years old, died in the snow.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, coming through loud and clear now.
I don't know what happened there. I was just talking away, and I'm going to blame it on the coronal mass ejection.
I told you, you need to consult your physician.
I'm telling you, I don't know what it was. I mean, I was talking, I could hear you, and all of a sudden, my audio ceased leaving here from bucolic water.
Yeah, weird.
We've never had one of those glitches before. That's a weird one. But we're back, and I'm sorry. We'll pick up that nice message that I was reading a little bit later for our good client. I think I want to do some stuff related to the border now, but I'm going to bring it home to right here in our own backyard in a huge way. You know, one of the things that happens when you have a chaotic border situation, I mean, we saw some numbers yesterday that suggested that in the first 8 days of May, let me get these statistics right. Yeah, first 8 days of May, where this is May 10th, we had about 150 people a day coming across the border who were Chinese migrants. That was in the San Diego sector. That's about 1,200 in 8 days, and that's about 150 a day. But the more concerning is, listen to this number. This is scary. Since the beginning of the federal fiscal year 2024, which began in October, we have had on average 800 unknown gotaways or known gotaways. They're known gotaways that have come across the border. That comes out to, I read the number, 800 a day. I forget the total number, but it's a huge number. But 800 people a day are coming across the border, and we don't know anything about. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're up to. We don't know where they're going. We don't know if they're smuggling drugs. We don't know what they're doing. And it's a real national security concern. By the way, those are known gotaways. Those are the ones that we see on sensors or we see on cameras that we just don't have the manpower to get to, and they come across the border. We know they got through. They say that you should add to that about 20% of the people that we never even see. We don't have any ideas there. But 800 a day, that could be what? That could be 1,000 a day that are coming in here. And because of the chaos on the border, we can't get to all of the people coming across the border, and we can't do the kind of job that we were once doing in drug interdiction. That's so important. I mean, there's so many different facets to this particular problem. You've got the fact you got human trafficking and human suffering. You have people from a national security standpoint that we don't want in this country are coming into this country. And of course, fentanyl and other illicit drugs are coming into this country because of the chaos. The cartels are taking full advantage. They've got this down to a science. They know how to slip this stuff in, and we can't stop it. And we're stopping a bunch of it. But I mean, if you figure that we're stopping 20%, imagine how big the other 80% are that are getting through. And so we have said, well, every community is a border town now. Every community is suffering the same kind of things that the border was suffering for a while. And that is true right here in Nashville. I'm going to read a story. This is actually a report that's produced by the health department in the city of Nashville, Davidson County. Now, this is just Davidson County. There are no doubt in Murfreesboro and Williamson County and in Wilson County and other places, Sumner County, around the area, there are similar situations, but this is the one I get my hands on. But it gives you some, window into how serious the fentanyl problem is in our area. Since 2020, and this is 2024, there have been over 2,500 suspected fatal overdose deaths in Nashville, Davidson County. 2,500 people. If I were to tell you that 2,500 people died in an incident, some kind of mass casualty incident, we would call that a tragedy. We would call that something, horrific news event. But when it happens a few at a time, you don't think of it that way, right? 2,500 souls passed away from suspected fatal overdose death in Nashville, Davidson County alone. A concerning revelation highlighting the epidemic's upward trajectory shows us that deaths occurring or after 2020 accounted for over 50% of all suspected overdose deaths since 2010. So what they're saying is in 2020, it really picked up. Fentanyl is the leading contributor to overdose deaths in Nashville-Davidson County. However, cocaine, methamphetamine are frequently detected in conjunction with fentanyl. You know, when you say, hey, I'm going to do a little coke, you don't know if you're just doing coke or you're doing coke that's laced with fentanyl. Methamphetamine, same thing. In 2018, fentanyl was detected in over 50% of all suspected fatal overdoses for the very first time. The detection of fentanyl has since peaked during the pandemic at 76%, remained relatively unchanged since. At the same time, the number of fatal overdoses has increased each year since 2016. In 2022, there were a total of 478 suspected fatal overdoses, which represented a twofold increase from 2018 and a 20% increase from 2020. It goes on. The majority of deaths from 2018 to 2022 occurred among white persons. 71% were white, 69% were males, and people between the ages of 25 to 54. However, a closer look at the data reveal that overdose deaths among Black and African American communities are on the rise, a pattern that is consistent with national trends. Oh, but wait, there's more. Nashville Fire Department and the Emergency Medical Services response peaked during the pandemic at about 5,800 responses in 2020, representing an 88% from 2016, a 50% increase from 2018. However, 21 was the first time in the previous 5 years in which the Nashville Fire Department EMS responses did not increase. The majority of people who required Nashville Fire Department emergency service response from 2018 to 2018, most were white, 50% were male. 50 were white, 50% were 60% male, and people between the ages of 25 and 54, predominantly. Emergency room visits. There have been approximately 13,000 emergency department visits for suspected overdoses from 2016 to date, of which 66% occurred on or during or after COVID-19 pandemic. Apparently, people really turned to drugs during the pandemic to cope. ED visits peaked in 2020 at about 2,600 cases and remained stable at around 2,400 cases since. The majority of ED visits from 2018 to 2022 were white persons, 64%, males, 68%, and people between the ages of 25 and 44, that would be 55%. So predominantly white male and relatively young between 25 and 44. These are the demographics. Terrible situation. And again, it continues. These numbers continue every day. I remember when we were in the middle of the pandemic, we kept hearing things like, not uncommon for Metro Nashville police to get about 3 overdose calls a shift, 9 a day. And it maybe not quite as bad now as it was, but still bad. And the main reason, I think, is we've been having some good luck in trying to crack open some of the local distributors of this horrible drug, addicting drug. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, the thing that just pisses me off about this whole situation, and I don't like to use that word, but it really does. That's the only word that really describes it for me, is that we're allowing, the Biden administration is allowing people to come to this country for reasons, political reasons. They want eventually to have these people have a pathway to citizenship. They are going to do everything they can to get some of these people, in a position where they can vote in this coming election as well. They say it's not legal, but there are ways around it. There certainly are ways around it, and I think it's going to happen. But the bottom line is they did it for political reasons. They want to change the voting demographics of this country, and they've just about said that their ultimate goal is citizenship for the people who are here illegally. Millions and millions and millions of new citizens that will completely change the voting demographics of this country, and they hope that it will work in their favor. But there's a downside to it. They're not paying attention to the fact that there's so much human suffering that goes along with this chaotic border. And by the way, national security concerns beyond measure. We are going to rue the day that we did not do something to fix this border situation. A couple of other quick stories. This story, North Carolina, here's one for you. North Carolina student suspended for using the term illegal aliens in class has sued the school district, saying he was bullied and ostracized after being falsely branded as a racist. Christian McGee, 16, received a 3-day out-of-school suspension last month for asking during a vocabulary lesson whether the word aliens meant space aliens or illegal aliens who needed green cards. He was also banned because he said that from a late-season track meet. 3 weeks after the suspension, his parents withdrew him from the Central Davidson High School and enrolled him in a certified homeschooling program in response to the threats and the hostility of the administration, according to the lawsuit. But here's the thing. It's exactly an accurate determination, an exactly accurate wording to describe, even in the law, what is going on. Are they here legally? No, they're not here legally. Are they aliens? That is the word in the law to describe people who are in this country who are not American citizens. Oh, the woke people don't want us to call. We want to call them the newcomers. I mean, hell, the other day Joe Biden called them voters. But there's nothing wrong with that language. It is in absolutely 1,000% accurate to call people that are here illegally, who are not citizens of this country, illegal aliens. I'm sorry. The woke language doesn't like it. Look at the law. The word is actually used in the law to describe people who are not citizens of this country, who are in this country. Are you a citizen or are you an alien? I'm sorry. It's the English language properly being used. And then there's this. Illegal migrants refuse to leave Denver encampments, making demands for fresh, culturally appropriate food and free lawyers. Oh, yes, the illegal migrants who are in the Denver encampments, where they're getting free everything, now say that they want food and free lawyers. I don't know about you, but it's not easy to get a free lawyer. Again, you come to this country, you are going to sanctuary cities, you get shelter, you get plane tickets, you get bus tickets, you get assistance from the federal government at about $9,000 a migrant, and you have the temerity to make demands. Just wrong. 22 past the hour. The chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. We aren't going to pay off the $34 trillion debt anytime soon. They'll just print money to pay the interest on the debt, and that will weaken the U.S. dollar. Listen, you might want to think about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio. I thought about that. Maybe you feel like you don't have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. Well, I got professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. This is the way it works. You make an appointment and sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll answer all your questions, help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a lot. You'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch, because gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times. My friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say that something is the gold standard of this or the gold standard of that? Well, when it comes to finding an investment that protects you from runaway inflation, gold is the gold standard. To set up your one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections. No lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
updates on the Israel-Hamas war, plus our Money News report taking a trip to Wall Street. 4:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, here's a weird one, folks. Here in Nashville, Tennessee, a Middle Tennessee officer has been decommissioned for a mock traffic stop video that was shown on an OnlyFans account. This, according to the Nashville Metro Police Department. The investigation identified the officer as Sean Herman, who is the man in the video. He was seen in uniform performing a mock traffic stop on the internet content subscription service OnlyFans that primarily focuses on pornography. Here's what they said at the police department. His actions were totally outrageous and incredibly disrespectful to every Metro Nashville Police Department employee and this agency as a whole. Well, what did he do? Okay, well, Channel 5 has a bit more detail. The video is titled, "I Can't Believe He Didn't Arrest Me," originally posted by a woman named Jordan, who was sitting in the driver's seat. And a man in the passenger seat is heard telling Jordan that she would be pulled over for how fast she was driving. There is the traffic stop, and she said, "I'm not going to get a ticket. I'm going to show him my breasts."
Oh, my.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The officer tells Jordan that he was going 65 and a 40 and needs a license and registration. She says, "I don't have either," but then proceeds to expose herself to the officer. And then there was a groping, and then there was a mutual groping, and you don't see the officer's face, but you see the bottom half of a Metro Police Department patch on the officer's shoulder. Then officer tells Jordan that he's letting her go without a warning. And then, you can always count on the good people at Scoop Nashville.
Oh, boy.
To give you the rest of the sordid details. And this is a direct quote. After the traffic stop, all four adults went to a hotel where they filmed a foursome scene that lasted 2 hours.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Hey. I got to tell you, this is embarrassing for this officer. It's an embarrassment for the police department, and he was immediately decommissioned. So, I mean, what in the world were you thinking using, a Metro Nashville Police Department uniform and doing this on camera and then posting it online?
Yeah, not smart. Not smart at all.
Not smart at all. And though, there'll be a lot of tittering, sorry, probably.
There's a little bit of that going on, too, I guess.
Probably not the right word to use for this particular story. But there will be a lot of people who are sort of snickering. Let's put it that way. But it really is. It's really an embarrassment. This officer was absolutely correct to have been decommissioned immediately by the police department. 30 minutes now past the hour.
.430, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 65 degrees, mostly cloudy on Music Row. Weather forecast and a traffic report just ahead. A highly anticipated U.S. government report on how Israel has conducted the war on Hamas. It's been released. Stephen Portnoy has more from the nation's capital.
The report says it's reasonable to conclude that Israel has used American weapons in ways that are inconsistent with Israel's obligations under international humanitarian law or with established best practices for mitigating civilian harm. But ultimately, this report says that given the nature of the conflict in Gaza, the U.S. cannot reach conclusive findings on accusations that have been leveled. President Biden ordered this review in February to determine whether Israel has violated the law of war in its use of U.S. weapons.
Now over to the money news. Daria Albinger filling us in on Wall Street.
Stocks close out the first full week of May with some gains.
The Dow rose 125 points, up for the 8th day in a row. The S&P closed up 9, while the Nasdaq fell 5 points. The Dow is now on its longest winning streak of the year, and the S&P is up for back-to-back sessions. We aren't feeling as good about the economy as we have in recent months. The University of Michigan's latest Consumer Sentiment Index dropped to 67.4 this month. That's down from 77.2 in April. That said, it's still about 14% higher than it was a year ago. Target's confirmed it won't carry its LGBTQ plus merchandise for Pride Month in stores in June after last year's backlash. It will offer the items online. Fans of Mickey D's will be loving this. McDonald's thinking about adding a $5 value meal to its menu to bring back customers.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather. They're on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Let me tell you about the folks at Kings and Associate Insurance in Brentwood. Have been around for some 25 years as an independent agency. You want to do business with an independent agent because they don't have to just give you whatever they got on the shelf. They can shop around a whole bunch of different companies and find that insurance policy that truly meets your needs. And you know what that ends up helping you out? You get more insurance bang for your buck. That's right. And that's what you always want. The other thing, if you call this number 615-329-8121, you don't reach a call center. You don't get a message that says your call is important to us. Please stand by because you know it's not important to you. No, what you get is an actual person who will pick up the phone and then help you and put you in contact, answer your questions, do whatever you need to be done. They're going to be there for you. They are the kings of the multi-policy discount, 20, 25, 30, 35%, huge savings. So why don't you get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance today? Log into tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance and Associates, you'll get royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
We were just talking about that police officer and who got fired for participating in a pornographic video. And somebody said, well, he might find a job over at the Laverne Police Department.
Hey, yo.
Hey, wait a minute. You know what it is? It's time for a little thing we like to do every Friday. Round one of Phone Your Farb Friday. That's right. What's on your mind? Here's the number, 615-737-9986. That's 615-737-WWTN. What's on your mind? You got something that a burr under your saddle? You got a bee under your bonnet? You got a cicada in a place where perhaps there should never, ever be a cicada? Hey. Just call us and get it off. You step on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries because it is a family show, and we don't want things to spiral out of control. I mean, that's too late for that on this program today. Things have already spiraled. But we'll try to keep it as clean as we possibly can. And look, it is not a competition, but we do like to compare the 4 o'clock hours and the 5 o'clock hours when we do this. So, be ready to give me your best stuff. Let's start with Malika in Nashville. Malika, hello. You're on with Brian on The Drive.
Hi, Brian. How are you? You did an excellent job covering the storms on Wednesday.
Well, thank you.
I want to talk about this illegal alien thing, please, Mr. Wilson. If you could please just give me a few seconds. I'm from Illinois, and Illinois is ridiculous, and I can't believe Carolina did this. They're illegal aliens. They shouldn't be here. It is what it is. Stop with that, hey, don't say this. Don't hurt people's feelings. You say it how it is. You say how it is. Stop trying to make people feel better. Stop hiding things, people. They're illegal aliens. They shouldn't be here.
Well, the thing about it is that the Democrats love to control the language. They decide that if we control the language, we control the debate. And that's one of the things that they always try to do. So, here is a term that is used in the law to describe people who are in this country illegally. They are considered aliens. They're not American citizens. They are aliens. They're foreign aliens. And so, to say that they're here, are they here legally? No. Are they citizens? No. Then they can be accurately described, and there's nothing pejorative about the words. It just simply means that they are here illegally and they're not citizens. Okay, thanks, Malika. Appreciate the call, and appreciate you being a real regular listener to our program. Bill in Manchester, you're up next on The Drive. Hey, Bill, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Brian. Something that most people don't even think about. This is one of the reasons I really have a burr in my saddle about Jack Johnson. I called him one day when he was hosting one of the programs on your station. And what I don't like is if a person is 18 years old and he's allowed to join the military and either be killed or pick up a rifle and kill another human being, why shouldn't he be allowed to have a drink before he does it? And I don't know why the state can't give special dispensation, shall I call it, or let it be legal that anybody in the military that's 18 or more should be allowed to go have a drink. And I don't understand any kind of reasoning why it's okay to kill somebody or get killed, but you can't have a drink. And when I asked that to Jack Johnson, he said, well, I just don't think people 18 or to 21 should be drinking.
Well, I mean, he's not. You've done a thing there where you sort of singled him out. And let me just say, I think there are many politicians beyond Jack Johnson who share that. I have concerns because I remember what it was like when I was a kid. The national drinking age went down to 18. And boy, you know why it went back to 21? Because it was disastrous. It was a nightmare. And people died. That's where Mothers Against Drunk Drivers came from. I mean, they'd sort of originated during that time. We lost a lot of young people because they didn't have the maturity to handle alcohol at the age of 18. Many people would argue that, you know, the brain, the male brain especially, is not completed growing and maturing until you get up into your mid-20s. And so, you know, it has happened. We've had it before. You may not remember it, but I do. and we got rid of it pretty quick. So I'm sort of with Jack Johnson, if that's his position, but don't single him out, because it's simply, I think many politicians believe that is a good law. Let's go to Anthony in Gallatin. Anthony, you're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Anthony?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for taking my call. I just had a chuckle today about the Metro Nashville police officer getting fired for the OnlyFans content. It's funny. It's funny because of the situation, but it's also not funny because, I mean, yeah, it's disrespectful to Metro Nashville, and it's embarrassing. And it's really not hard to find a police uniform, fake one, like on Amazon, whatever. But hopefully for that cop's sake, he is a former police officer's sake, he's getting some royalties from the content he made. And then on top of that, I think it is just a weird concept. The pornography industry is a weird concept because, if you pay somebody for sexual favors, then, it's considered prostitution. But let's get a camera involved and it's perfectly legal. I thought that is the oddest thing to me. But
somebody on the super text line, the Members Nutrition super text line, asked a question, which I thought was interesting. Well, who was it in the government that had an OnlyFans account that was able to look this up? So apparently, I don't know how they found out about it. That's a good question as well. Let's go to Richard in Charlotte. Richard, hello. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for taking my call, Mr. Wilson. Wanted to call and get up on your soapbox about the continued potholes in the interstates. It seems as though the Briley Parkway right in front of the TDOT office has the worst road ever. And we've got potholes and roads that are falling apart, causing accidents. And nobody's addressing it. Some potholes have been there for months.
Yeah, we got pretty good about that, right after when there were so many. I remember going down the road and, I have the Waze on, always have the Waze on, and it was like pothole ahead, pothole ahead, pothole. I said I finally had to turn it off because it was driving me crazy. There were so many potholes. But you're right. We sort of lose focus on that, I think, after we get a bunch of them patched and we don't go back and keep filling. I'm still seeing the same thing you're seeing. There are some potholes out there. Maybe we need to renew our pothole patching. But we are getting...
Not only that, but the quality of the asphalt that's been put down. I-24, the whole top surface has come off and just turned to rocks.
Well, we'll have to look into that. I will tell you this, that it is the time of year where we now... start to do repaving, because you have to wait for the ground temperature to get a certain temperature before you can actually do serious paving, not just the cold patch stuff. So maybe that'll be what happens next. Okay, thank you for the call, though. Appreciate it. How about Christina in Pegram? Hello, Christina. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian. So my bit about the soapbox is I sent in a recommendation on how to increase the amount of SROs in Tennessee or even across the nation to my representative, which would be Senator Kerry Roberts. And my recommendation was that the DOD and the Department of Education have a program called Truth to Teachers to help alleviate the shortfalls that they have in teachers across the U.S. Well, why don't we mimic something to that effect for, say, like MPs or the Master-at-Arms to SROs? And when I sent it to the senator, I get an email back from them saying, thank you for your suggestion, and we forwarded it on to the Department of Education. Not sure what the Department of Education is going to do about it, but I just think it would be a great thing for them to implement, as a way of getting military employed, once they come out of service.
Yeah, I think so, too. And, we find that there are about 500 schools in the state of Tennessee that don't have SROs because they're so hard to find. So we need to get innovative. I think you're right, Christina. So you have used the soapbox effectively. Thank you for calling. Let's go to Larry in Clarksville. Larry, you're up with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today, Larry?
Well, thank you, Brian, first of all, for taking my call. And thank you guys and thank WTN for the coverage you had the other night. Because down here in Clarksville, or up here in Clarksville, however you want to look at it, my house was rocking and rolling and the TV and cable was out, but I was able to listen to you guys on the app.
Well, he said, there you go. See, the phone app is a good thing to have, and you gotta think about that. I mean, the television people are great. Don't get me wrong. We rely upon their radar and their excellence to help us. So we have weather partners over at Channel 4 that we work with, and we count on them. But if you're out here in the middle of nowhere and the power goes out and your TV goes down or your cable goes out, you need to be able to maybe pull it up on the phone or pull it up on a battery radio, because we'll be there for you. We'll keep cranking along on the airwaves.
Yes, and I listened to you guys, and I actually had a big old generator put in and a 330-gallon propane tank. So I don't have to worry about power. But what I wanted to ask you, Brian, because you have such a wealth of knowledge, okay? Please tell me in what courtroom and in what court in this United States have the prosecutors been able to bring someone to trial and not provide the defense attorneys with what the charge actually is? And please tell me why that. All right. Hang on. Tell him to keep his hand on the red button, because I don't want to get put on secret probation.
We're gonna move on, because we don't want you to get too wound up there, Larry. But I think a good point. I get where you're going with that. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Thank you for the call. How about Steve in Cookville? Steve, you're up next on the drive. What do you think, Steve?
Hey, Brian, that police officer there, they shouldn't have fired him. They should have just transferred him over to Megan Barry's protective detail.
Okay. Stop it. James in Westmoreland, wrap it up. You're up with Brian on the drive. Hello, James. Oh, and we were doing so well. And James is gone. James is gone. Well, that was I think, except for the sort of the drop at the end, that was a good round.
It's pretty solid, yeah.
That was a pretty solid round. So, I mean, for the folks who come on at 5:35, I think, and I've got a lot of people right now we didn't even get to. So if you didn't get on, call back at 5:35. We want you to be a part of it. And, see if you can top the 4 o'clock people. They set the bar pretty high.
You got to bring your A game, yeah.
Bring your A game. It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How? Well, as a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. Starting at $69 a month, you get free office visits and free basic labs for the entire year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root causes of a condition, not just the symptoms, using a comprehensive, functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same day or the next day, you're treated at your convenience. That's what I said. It's delivered absolutely affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. Grace Point Healthcare is located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to schedule a visit.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Updates on the former president's hush money trial, an investigation over here in Tennessee, ending in arrests. The FBI looking out for different terrorist attacks that could happen, what threats they are looking out for. And a popular movie franchise returning to the box office this weekend. We'll tell you what it is. 5 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, listen, we've got a lot more coming up. In the next hour, we'll be talking about the Trump trial and where that is headed. Monday should be a pretty interesting day. The president had some things, as he usually does, as he left the courtroom to say. And then we'll have Mac Maury's wide world, wacky world, weird world of sports. And then another round of Phone URFARB Friday, where the bar has been set pretty high by the 4 o'clock hour. It's all straight ahead. Right here on Super Talk 99.7. If you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltzko are the two guys you need to talk to. Exceptional quality craftsmanship and fair prices. They can build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind, and that is the Stoltzko difference. You can use pole barns for all kinds of things. It can function as a classic tool or a work barn. How about a place for your classic cars? How about a place for your horses or your other livestock? And you can even live in a barn dominium, and they do those as well. They combine the classic post-frame barn look with the reliability of modern materials and techniques to give you a finished barn that will stand the test of time. They don't scrimp on quality. They don't cut corners. They believe their customers deserve only the best. So go to their website. Here's the address. STOLTZCO. Stoltzco.com. Take a look at some of the things they've done for other people, and then you're going to get it. And then you're going to want to call, and here's the number, 615-622-5992. Stoltzco, where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. Learn more at Stoltzco.com. That's Stoltzco.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.501, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 65 degrees in Nashville. Still some flood advisories in effect in the mid-state. One at Harpeth River at Bellevue affecting Davidson and Williamson counties. Another at Stones River near Donaldson that also affects Donaldson County, or Davidson County, both in effect until after midnight tonight. Traffic and a complete weather forecast 5 minutes away. Starting with updates on the Donald Trump trial, here's Chuck Sievertson.
Court sessions are over for the week at the New York courthouse for the criminal hush money trial. Giving a snapshot of today's testimony, ABC's Aaron Katursky.
These were all witnesses to get the records into the record. We looked at phone logs, tweets, text messages, and other documents and records that are likely to come up during the testimony of Michael Cohen, who is probably the next to last witness for the prosecution. There may be a summary witness. Prosecutors said, depending on how the cross-examination goes, they could rest the case as soon as next week.
The judge admonished Cohen and told prosecutors to tell him to stop going online, making disparaging comments about the former president. Mr. Trump denies allegations of falsifying business records to make the hush money payments to a porn star. Michael Cohen is expected on the witness stand Monday.
And an investigation over in Tennessee. News 2 says that a Canadian man has been arrested and accused of sexually exploiting a Tennessee girl online. 38-year-old Tyler Clark is said to have over 7,000 messages with a girl starting in 2021 when she was just 11 years old. He manipulated that girl into sharing explicit photos. He told the girl he was 13 years old. Clark was released from custody on a number of court-imposed conditions and awaiting his next court appearance, which is scheduled for May 22nd. And foreign terrorist organizations may try to exploit LGBTQ-related events and venues during June's Pride Month. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security, Chuck Sievertson, covers it.
The federal law enforcers say attacks could come online, in the mail, or in person. The FBI says the probing of security measures at events, unusual questions about, and the taking pictures of security are all telltale signs that an attack might be planned. June 12th, the 8th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, a deadly gay nightclub massacre that was praised by pro-ISIS groups.
And some entertainment news. The Apes are going to rule the weekend at the box office. Jason Nathanson.
It is our time.
It's time for the Apes to shine. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes doing strong business in Thursday night previews, earning $6.6 million, which is a little better than the last Ghostbusters earlier this year, which opened to $45 million in North America. So look for Apes to swing in around $50 million. The record for a Planet of the Apes opening weekend, 2014's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes with $72.6 million.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hey, it's 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Third hour of the drive now underway on this Friday. Man, we've got a nice weekend ahead, and we may even, I'm not kidding, may actually see, it's possible, I don't know if you will or not, but they say it's at least possible we could see the Aurora Borealis in the Nashville area tonight and maybe tomorrow night.
Where are they playing? The Ryman?
No. Yeah, they're one of my favorite rock groups from the 70s. You remember their big hit, Aurora Borealis?
Yeah.
No, neither do I.
Oh.
No, we have a weird situation right now because apparently there is a major solar flare that's blasting plasma toward the Earth, and it is causing unusual phenomenon. We actually think maybe it knocked me off the air for just a second earlier in the show. We're not completely sure what happened there, but I mean, we had a glitch that we'd never had before. It was really strange. But one way or the other, it can disrupt communications, can mess up GPS, can mess up phone communications. It can have it if it's bad enough, can really have an impact on the grid, the electrical grid, etc. It's a danger to satellites and all that kind of stuff. But we're mostly safe here on Earth, except that we may get that really wonderful thing known as the Northern Lights. Now, I don't want to sell this thing too hard. Because, I don't want you to be disappointed if you go out tonight and you don't see anything. But we're sort of on the very southern edge of this phenomenon. But people north of here have as the further north you go, between here and the Canadian border, you're going to see an increasing chance of seeing it. So a lot of people will get to see it. And it looks like here in the Nashville area, I mean, I think right now it was cloudy for a while, but the skies are clearing up. And it's supposed to be clear tonight and tomorrow night in our area. So all I'm saying is go outside and take a look, and you may get lucky.
That's worth a shot.
Worth a shot. The president wrapped up his trial today. It's still ongoing, maybe one more week of prosecution witnesses. And of course, we'll tell you more about that in a moment. The president, former president of the United States, Donald Trump, exited the courtroom and was, as he is often happy to do, he talked to reporters in that echoey hallway. We'll do what we can to make that as tolerable as possible. Had a lot of things on his mind about the trial and other things.
It's all fake. The whole case is fake. The judge is corrupt. And the only thing he gives us is to make him look a little bit good. He gives us nothing. And what he just did now is a joke. It's a disgrace. Somebody paid a lawyer, and in paying the lawyer, so it was a legal expense, that somebody happened to be me. I didn't do the bookkeeping. I didn't even know about it, but a very good bookkeeper marked a legal expense down as a legal expense. They called, very simply, a legal expense to a lawyer. He was a lawyer, not a fixer, he was a lawyer. Legal expense to a lawyer, they called it legal expense. They said it was marked incorrectly. What else would you call it? It's a legal fee or a legal expense, and we called it a legal expense. This is what the case is about. And it's not about all of the other stuff that you've been seeing, because we're using that to attempt, it's had no impact because it's so old, attempt to do something to me politically. But the good news is the people understand that our poll numbers are the highest they've ever been, and it's ridiculous that I'm not going to be out campaigning for another week or two as these thugs, these corrupt thugs, and that includes the judge. He should throw this case out. This case should go no further. But this all comes out of Washington. It's to damage crooked Joe Biden's political opponent, happens to be me. And we're leading big in the polls, and the American people get it. It's a scam. If I weren't leading, the stock market would be way down. But I'm leading, and based on the fact that I'm leading, the stock market is up. And if I didn't win, you would have a crash like 1929. Mark my words, I've been right about everything. If I didn't win, you would have a crash like the crash of 1929, because the people that are running our government right now are corrupt and incompetent. Thank you very much, everybody.
And with that, he took off to go to, he's going to do a campaign event this weekend in, of all places, New Jersey. Now, you know, look, I've been spending some time looking at a new website. I have to pull it up and give you the name of it because it's really a good one to play around with. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, you should go to 270 to Win. Pretty interesting. What they do is they put up a map, and then you can click around and try to decide, you know, the Electoral College math to get to 270. I'm surprised he's going to go to New Jersey, but they must see something in the numbers in New York and New Jersey that they like. They say they like some of the things they're seeing in Virginia as well, but that would be a heavy lift, it would seem. But, you know, on this 270 to Win website, it's 270towin.com. You can click the, you know, battleground states, award them blue, award them red, and see. So I've given Georgia and North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada to Trump because he's leading in pretty good numbers in all of those locations. That leaves really just 3 battleground states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Now, he needs to win one of those 3. If he gets Pennsylvania, he goes to 288. That would be a good outcome for him, 288. That'd be well over 270. I'm trying to go. Here we go. Boom. Okay, now if he wins Michigan, he goes to 284. And that would be, of course, more than you need, 270. If he goes to, if he wins Wisconsin, he gets to 279. So, you know, he's got to win one of those 3 to prevail in the coming election. So I'm surprised he's going to places like New Jersey and maybe even Virginia, but he thinks he can win there. But, you know, the numbers are looking pretty good and for him in those states. I mean, I think Michigan and Pennsylvania are very tight, but Pennsylvania is notoriously difficult to sort of poll there. But interesting. You might want to go and play with 270 to Win and see what you think about it. It's pretty cool website. I'm going to play around with it and keep an eye on things. As long as we sort of moved into some political news for the election, independent voters say Biden is greater threat to democracy than Trump. That according to, are you ready for this, an NPR PBS poll. Just 24% said that Biden would strengthen the country's democracy, while 53% said he would weaken it. For Trump, 40% said he would strengthen it, 42% said he would weaken it. So, I mean, that's got to be shocking to the folks at NPR. They're probably getting the vapors right now, passing out when they saw their own poll. Here's why fact checkers are freaking out about Biden's approval numbers. It's because the numbers are correct when people say that Joe Biden is the least popular president since the end of the Second World War. Even Snopes, which is, you know, universally leftly leaning, has reluctantly confirmed that as a fact, despite having been pressured into changing ratings by the Biden White House. He is historically unpopular by looking in the modern era. Biden's approval rating at this stage in his presidency significantly below that of Donald Trump, also rated below Richard Nixon and one-term Democrat President Jimmy Carter. George H.W. Bush, the next least popular president, had an approval rating of 41.8% in his 13th quarter, and he was not reelected. Biden is at, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, somewhere between 35 and 38. That's not a good number. I mean, that's always been a real telling number and not very good. The RNC is joining a lawsuit to ban illegal ballot drop boxes in a key swing state. That key swing state is Wisconsin. We have to put a lot of efforts into watching the goings-on in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania, because it's going to get rough there. You know, we're going to have a camera on every corner in that state, no doubt. Joe Biden has fumbled the teleprompter yet again. The other day, remember, he was supposed to stop speaking so that the crowd could start yelling 4 more years. And so they put in the teleprompter pause, but he read the word pause and then actually said 4 more years, which is what the crowd was going to do. But now apparently he added, they was trying to tell, apparently they were trying to tell a story, some kind of, one of those little old geezer stories about something that happened back when he was in school. And he couldn't remember the guy's last name, but when they wrote it in the teleprompter, they gave his first name, I think it was Riley. And then apparently the writer left a notation in the copy in parentheses saying last name, which meant that he was supposed to go in and get the last name and see if they could figure it out and stick it in the copy, but he forgot to remove it. So Biden said last name, even though it was not meant to be read. I mean, he has become the Ron Burgundy of president.
Anything that is put on that teleprompter. And Ron Burgundy will read anything that is put on that teleprompter. And when I say anything, I mean nah.
Great story. Compelling and rich. Well, that's going to do it for all of us here at Channel 4 News. You stay classy, San Diego. Great story. Compelling and rich. Well, that's going to do it for all of us here at Channel 4 News. You stay classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter? For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
Well, the rest of it we can't play. But I mean, honestly, he will read anything you put anything. He will read it. Absolutely. That's our president, ladies and gentlemen. We couldn't be more proud. By the way, next week in the trial in New York for the president, former President Trump, it's going to be that Michael Cohen guy, noted liar, perjurer, and this is apparently the key witness in the prosecution case. I mean, all you got to ask him is, well, were you lying then or are you lying now? We need to know. How can we believe anything that comes out of your mouth? That's going to be fun watching that cross-examination. 20 minutes now past the hour. You know, Mother's Day is just around the corner. I mean, it's Sunday, right? My friends at Genesis Diamonds are here to help you celebrate, and it's not too late. Whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th Mother's Day, she will appreciate something thoughtful and timeless from Genesis. And you don't have to break the bank. Genesis has put together a fantastic collection of sentimental gifts, things that she can wear all the time. Layered necklaces, colored gemstone bracelets, rings, pearls, eternity bands, diamond pendants. And this year, some of Genesis' exclusive designers have come in with even more great pieces. New, fashion-forward designs that any mom would appreciate. So stop in and let one of Genesis' trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift for mom. Genesis is the premier jeweler in this area with a reputation for high quality and extreme value. You'll love the experience. Happy Mother's Day from the folks at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
A war in Ukraine update, new developments in the Riley Strain case, plus a Virginia county school changing their names back to the original. We'll tell you what that is. 5:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
It's time for Mac Morey's wide, wacky, weird world of sports. That's right, and here he is once again to bring you the latest in his sports analysis, sharp critiques of the sports world. You know him, you love him, you cannot live without him. Wow. It's the incomparable Mac Morey!
How about that?
I wanted to give you a good intro today.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I can't fall flat now.
No, now you got to give us something.
Well, I've got some. So first off, we'll just start real quick. NBA tonight, Knicks Pacers. I talked about that series. It's now back at Indiana. New York leads 2-0, but New York dealing with a slew of injuries. Tom Thibodeau's known for playing his guys over 40 minutes a game. The game's 48 minutes, and he plays them 42, 44 regularly. That is unheard of, and it is costing them, but that is his strategy. And then Nuggets, the number 1 seed, reigning champions. I told you they lost both their home games. They are down 2-0, and now they are going to Minnesota. They have to win tonight. It is a death sentence if you're down 3-0. That is what's going on in the NBA playoffs. NHL playoffs, also some games happening tonight. We are in the midst. I believe they try to stay kind of similar as far as schedules are concerned. You've got Panthers and Bruins tied 1-1. Oilers and Canucks just 1-0 there. And then you got 2 games tomorrow, and the Sunday as well will be full. But there's been something trending in sports that I thought would be fun to bring to you guys that we could all kind of discuss. NFL and NBA players right now kind of arguing on this trending discussion that I've always enjoyed talking about. It's definitely, 2 guys at a bar, they're talking about this. And we can kind of go to other sports as well, but do you think NFL players have a better chance to make it in the NBA? Could they go play their sport? Or do you think an NBA player could go step on the gridiron and play football? Which one do you think would be more easily translatable as far as athletes, grit, everything? What do y'all think?
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's an interesting thought.
It is.
I mean, the skill sets are different, I think.
They are.
Oh, yeah, totally. I would think, like wide receivers, defensive backs would probably have the best chance of being in, just because they're fast. They're, the most athletic members of the football squad. Yeah, the quickness that you need in basketball. Basketball players in the NFL, I don't know.
No, they would get destroyed.
I don't think they're near tough enough.
Yeah. That's what I think it was. I think they're athletic enough. I just
they're just too damn tall. That's the problem. I think definitely you could see some football players excelling at basketball. Yeah. I have a hard time thinking that you could have a basketball player that would excel. And I mean, I just can't think of what it would be. Now, they're all great athletes, and they're all
in their own respective.
And you often find that if you go back into their high school histories, that they played multiple sports. If you're a good athlete, the coach is going to try to put you in there because great athletes are just they are just rare finds when you're in the high school level. But by the time you get to college, you've got to sort of make that decision.
Yep.
I wasn't it Michael Jordan who played baseball for a while?
Yes. Yeah. Played with the White Sox a little bit.
Yeah, he wasn't that good. I think once you find your discipline, you got to stick with it. But I could see some football players being fast, especially receivers who are sort of tall generally. Yeah, I could see them doing okay.
I could see an NBA like a point guard or maybe a small forward being like a kick returner or a punt returner or something like that, maybe. But not a play every.
What about like a 6'6", 6'7" forward who's 240 pounds? You don't think a tight end? You don't think he could?
No.
Really? I don't know.
I just don't think they're tough enough.
So
somebody like Shaq could remember the guy Refrigerator Perry?
Yeah.
They're sort of alike, aren't they? In many ways.
Just about a foot difference. That's about
taller,
it. Yeah. So what do you guys think which sport has the best athletes in the world? Because to me that is basketball. Okay, hockey. That's a popular answer.
Absolutely, hockey to me. Those guys skate nonstop.
Well, and the same is true in soccer.
Yeah,
you
run for sure.
You run the whole time. Yeah. You got to be in incredibly
but they're not
good
tough,
shape.
Though.
No, Well, I don't know. They're pretty tough because they go out there and they bang into each other. They don't have pads on.
Yeah, but it's not like hockey. Hockey to me is the perfect blend of athleticism and toughness.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. I'll go with that.
That's my take on it.
I'm going basketball. I'm going basketball.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt you got to be extreme. I mean, I remember trying out for basketball in elementary school, and it was like, this is a joke. I can't run these sprints.
Yeah.
You know, what do they call the things where you run to this line and then back to the baseline?
Oh, you're talking about
suicide.
Suicides,
That's
yeah.
it.
No,
Yep.
I was out. First day of tryouts, I was like, nope. Not for
Coach,
me.
thank you so much. I think I'll just go back to learning how to run the audio equipment. I'll go back.
I'll run the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Yeah.
I'll go join the AV squad.
Yeah, there's a reason we're behind the mic. That's for sure.
That's right. All right, we'll leave it there. 30 minutes past the hour time. Hey, by the way, we're just a few minutes away from round number 2 of Phone Your Farb Friday. So get your thoughts together. Right now, it's time for the news on Super Talk.
.5:30, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 65 degrees, mostly cloudy in Nashville. Traffic report and a weather forecast in 5 minutes. A war in Ukraine update. Russia has stepped up its offensive around the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv and some other areas. National Security spokesperson John Kirby in this afternoon's briefing highlighted what kinds of weapons the U.S. will send to Ukraine to defend itself. All part of a new $400 million drawdown package.
Today, the president signed another $400 million drawdown package for Ukraine, which includes additional artillery ammunition, air defense interceptors, and anti-aircraft missiles, armored vehicles, artillery rounds, javelin and anti-armor systems, and other equipment needed to defend Kharkiv and other areas that are under threat.
And back here in Nashville, new developments in the Riley strain case. The toxicology report is complete. It will not be released to the public until a complete autopsy is released, and it's unclear when that will be. Strain's body was found in the Cumberland River 2 weeks after being kicked out of a Broadway bar. Videos released by businesses and police show Strain stumbling and falling around Nashville after being kicked out of that bar. And in Virginia, Shenandoah County School Board voted 5-1 today to change public school names back to honor Confederate leaders Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and Turner Ashby. Chuck Sievertson.
Citizens at the school board meeting.
Some people in the county feel that the initial name change stripped them of their democratic processes while advocating for the honoring of an individual that stripped African Americans of their democratic rights.
Another.
It's kind of funny hearing some of you call us traitors when we live in a country that was founded by a bunch of traitors.
Both sides drew applause. The school names had been changed after George Floyd's killing.
And some Titans sports news coming from Adam Schefter. Titans first-round pick offensive lineman out of Alabama, J.C. Latham, signed his 4-year, fully guaranteed $26.04 million contract. That is the latest news, weather, and traffic on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
You know, the weather's getting warmer, and that means grilling season is upon us. And if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouses like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, fresh off your very own grill. All you got to do is take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. You see, Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, and chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. Don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing, the South's favorite. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips, a recipe used in his restaurants for over 35 years. Now, if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. Just go to johnnyfleeman.com for more information. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at the nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner. It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. And I want to just warn you as we delve into this next segment, we do so at our own peril because there have been weird things happening today to our electronics. And it may have something to do with the solar ejections and all that stuff. We're not sure. But we're going to try. I just lost my screen. That's weird. You want to try it or not? Chris, let's make an editorial call.
I think we're going to try it. I think it may be back up, but it's hard for me to tell.
We're having a little trouble with our phone system, but let's try and do another round of Phone Your Farb Friday. That's what's on your mind, 615-737-9986. That's the number to call, 615-737-WWTN. Maybe you got a burr in your saddle. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you have a cicada in a place where I hope you never, ever have a cicada. Hey. That's right. Just climb up on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries because it is a family show. Now, it looks like it's going to work. I think we may be okay. I mean, I got to tell you, folks, something is going on weird with the gear today. I mean, it's not acting the way it normally does. And we think, really, honestly, it could have something to do with, these weird coronal mass ejections that we got going. But let's get started with Garrett in Portland. Garrett, you're on with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind, Garrett?
Hey, Brian, long-time listener. Glad to talk to you. So I'm Garrett Davidson, and I'm a retired Metro National Police Lieutenant. I worked there for the Office of Professional Accountability for several years, and I thought you might be curious about some other information relating to Sean Herman. I know you were covering the incident with him. Yeah, well,
let me give the people and listening a little bit of background, and because it is an interesting case. There's a police officer, Sean Herman, who's been decommissioned, taken out of his job because, according to their investigation, police investigation, he apparently participated in an OnlyFans pornographic video wearing a uniform of the Nashville Metro Police Department. And there are other elements to the story as well that are equally as sordid, but that was the main reason that he was decommissioned. So give us some perspective here.
Yeah, Brian, have you seen anything reported yet about him and his prior conduct in the sexual harassment case he had previously?
I have not.
Yeah, so back in 2023, he was actually sustained on a violation of sexual harassment. And there were several things going on with that case that were concerning, but back then it was discovered that he had an undisclosed OnlyFans account, that there were some issues in his background file relating to a Marine Corps incident, an incident of adultery, and that he was also possibly hooking up with downtown visitors there on Broadway. And so there was an investigation into his conduct back in 2023 relating how he was treating a female officer, making inappropriate sexual comments, and even at one point showing her a nude photograph of an ex-girlfriend. And so that case, he was sustained on that. The investigation was solid. They ended up giving him initially 8 suspension days and then bumped that up to 10 suspension days with a last chance agreement.
And
so
so
here we are now.
against that backdrop, this new thing has happened.
Yes, since that was beginning of 2023, I think that investigation had started sometime around January of 2023 and ran out for several months, conducted by the Human Resource Investigations Team, which is actually separate from, but related to the Office of Professional Accountability. And so that was, I guess about a year ago now, and those last chance agreements will typically last for about 1 year. And if there's new conduct of a similar nature, then that typically results in them losing their job. Because what you normally expect in this kind of situation is an officer would have an investigation for about 45 days, and if they're sustained on a violation, they'll have an opportunity to contest it and go to a hearing. But I would only presume at this point that he was still under that last chance agreement from that prior incident for which he was not terminated.
Well, as a former police officer and a person who investigated these kinds of matters, I mean, express to me how this must be going over at the police department now, because, I mean, he was wearing a Nashville Police Department uniform during this fake traffic stop that turned into a groping incident, and it goes on from there. How would that go over among rank and file officers?
Well, unfortunately, social media cases like this with officers have been on the rise, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, OnlyFans. Maybe it's a generational thing. But undoubtedly, when this information came to light, investigators were working around the clock, probably pretty nonstop, in order to gather as much information as possible. The command staff wouldn't like it, but there are policies and procedures for conducting these investigations and running through.
Generally, how do you find out about these kind of things?
Well, a variety of sources. The Metro National Police Department will take anonymous complaints. So any citizen who has a concern and some information can send that in. You, of course, have fellow officers who can overhear things or discover things themselves, as they search the internet, and then they report it to their chain of command or to OPA. There's any number of sources.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for providing that context and that background. That you have advanced the story. We now know more than we did before. Appreciate the call. Let's take some other calls. Let's go to Rod in Columbia. Rod, hello. You're on with Brian in the Drive. How you doing, Rod?
Doing good, Brian. And by the way, good job Wednesday at the weather emergency we had around here and in Tennessee in general. Hey, it's Friday. It's a lot of stuff going on, but I really wanted just to relax a little bit and have a request for you.
Okay.
What about additional segment of Mac Maury doing more sports or maybe music?
Well, Mac Maury is a very talented. I mean, he's the jack of all trades around here. I mean, he can do the news. He produces. He knows a lot about sports. When we were looking for somebody to do the news here on the Drive, we had used Mac in that capacity, and I see in Mac a great deal of talent and a guy that has a real hunger for broadcasting. And so we're happy to give him as much room as he wants to take on this program. It's always good stuff when he's involved in it. And Mac, you do, in case anybody wants to follow up, you have a podcast, right?
Yeah, podcast you can find every week wherever you get your podcast. Behind the Box Score. I really appreciate that. That's so nice.
Okay. All right. There you go. Jamie out on the road. Jamie, you're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind, Jamie?
Hey, Brian, I was just wondering, whatever happened to the Hunter and Joe Biden scandal? And, James Comer said that he had all this bank records and all this proof, and we hadn't heard nothing.
Well, that's a great question, and I've been wondering that as well. I mean, one of two things potentially. I think one thing could be that they're holding on to it for a more appropriate moment, like, closer to the election. Or maybe they got down and they said, well, you know what? It sure looks bad, but we can't quite put it across the goal line. Hunter Biden was asking to get out of his weapons charge. That happened just the other day. And the judge said, no way, you're going to trial. So that's going to take place. I think I remember that being in June. I think it's going to take place. So he's definitely going to be on trial for that weapons charge. But I don't know. They seem to be now. I don't think the investigation has stopped, but I think that finding anything like that one smoking hot gun piece of paper that puts it all together, maybe they haven't found it yet, or they're waiting. They could be laying in wait for an October surprise. Who knows? But again, I think it's a great question. I'll try to ask some questions, see if I can get some answers to that. Betty in Hendersonville. Hey, Betty, you're up with Brian on the Drive. What's up, Betty?
Hey, Brian. Happy Friday.
Hey, thank you.
So I have a question. This is just food for thought. Have you considered that RFK would be the ideal red herring for Trump when it comes to debate time for the president? Because we know the media are the ones that are going to ask the questions, whatever station, whoever gets to do it, Fox or whoever. They're going to be the ones teeing up the questions. So I just view RFK as a potential red herring, and I'm praying that the Trump camp doesn't bite. With that thought, have a happy weekend.
Thank you. You know what I think, Betty, in that regard? I don't think we're going to see any debates. I mean, look, I just think that, really an RFK Trump debate would not be worth it. I don't think that Biden, he may talk tough. He said the other day, set it up. I don't think he's going to debate. I don't think they'll let him debate. It would be a disaster. I mean, the one thing about it is they can jack him up with whatever it is they jack him up with. And, he might be able to get through it okay. But if he turns in a performance like he does some days, it would be an unmitigated disaster, too much at risk, in a close election. I just don't see him putting him out there. That's sort of my feeling. I don't think we're going to see any debates. How about David in Lewisburg? You're up with Brian Davis. David, what's up?
Hey, Brian, question kind of in that same vein. If we do have three presidential candidates that are contention, what happens if no one reaches 270 electoral? What's the process for that? And then I'll just hang up and listen. Well,
it's not entirely true, I think, in Nebraska and Maine, but most states have a winner-take-all, right? And so we take that into account. So, if you win, you take all the electoral votes. I've looked at it. There's a weird thing in Nebraska. Nebraska is a very strange state governmentally, by the way. It's an interesting study. They don't have a bicameral legislature. It's unicameral. And they have this one area of Nebraska, which sometimes goes blue while the state is overwhelmingly red, and they will break it out. They'll break out the electoral votes. But the way I look at it, go to 270towin.com and play around with it. And you have already, some have been awarded pretty much to the red team, and some have been awarded to the blue team because they're pretty predictable. But the ones that are undecided, take a look at the numbers and make your own judgment. Play around with it. But I think it really comes down to Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And Trump has to win one of those and then run the board on some other states where he's looking pretty good at the moment. So it's a fascinating thing, but the third party shouldn't have too much impact on that. Let's go to let's get one more in. James in Lebanon, you're on with Brian on the Drive. James, quickly, what's your thought?
Hey, brother. God bless you. Love the show. Just calling I think we need to do a better job of raising awareness to our elected officials that we know about what's going down in Panama, in the Panamanian, Colombian jungle, and the Darien Gap.
Right.
The Chinese BRI, they're getting ready to pour concrete, manufacture a bridge down there where hordes of people can walk through safely. It's going to make things very efficient as far as importing more people through the southern border. And I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar this weekend, just for some due diligence.
Yeah, just what we need, isn't it? All right, James, thank you so much. Well, okay, Chris, we've reached the end. I think
it's tough.
I think I'm going to give the edge, maybe just slightly,
I think Garrett may put the 5 o'clock session over the top.
Because that was information.
Yeah.
That was really good information. All right, I think we're going to award it to the 5 o'clock hour. There's, you don't get anything though.
Oh, all right.
Sorry. 52 past the hour. Are your retirement taxes structured to minimize taxes? This could be hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans like you could be overpaying on your taxes in retirement. You may be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind, however. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling an absolutely free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 in retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or go to their website, askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And got my first commission in 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. Yeah. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
Wow!
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
6:01, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 64 degrees, mostly sunny, and it looks like it'll be mostly sunny this weekend. Highs in the mid-70s. Latest traffic report, weather forecast 5 minutes away. With continued U.S. military support at stake, a highly anticipated Biden administration report on how Israel has conducted the war on Hamas has been released. Stephen Portnoy with more.
It's a review the president ordered in February, and it's resulted in a report that's critical of Israel. It finds it would be reasonable to assess that Israeli forces have used American weapons in ways that are inconsistent with international law, and that Israel has failed to follow best practices for mitigating civilian harm. But due to the nature of the conflict, the Departments of State and Defense say they haven't seen enough evidence to prove that Israel has violated the laws of war.
Crime in Tennessee. 20-year-old Ava H. Castings was arrested yesterday after stabbing her father in the chest. The father told officials that she was upset because he wouldn't tell her where her child was. The officer saw a large wound in that victim's upper chest. While he was talking with him, police detained Castings outside the residence, and after she was given her Miranda rights, she admitted to investigators that her father's account was accurate. And updates on former President Trump's hush money trial. Chuck Sievertson.
Court sessions are over for the week at the New York courthouse for the criminal hush money trial. Giving a snapshot of today's testimony, ABC's Aaron Katursky.
These were all witnesses to get the records into the record. We looked at phone logs, tweets, text messages, and other documents and records that are likely to come up during the testimony of Michael Cohen, who is probably the next to last witness for the prosecution. There may be a summary witness. Prosecutors said, depending on how the cross-examination goes, they could rest the case as soon as next week.
The judge admonished Cohen and told prosecutors to tell him to stop going online, making disparaging comments about the former president. Mr. Trump denies allegations of falsifying business records to make the hush money payments to a porn star. Michael Cohen is expected on the witness stand Monday.
And in California, a San Diego area school administrator out of a job after allegedly becoming angry at high school softball players for not clapping loud enough for her daughter, Alex Stone.
It's been dubbed by students in the Poway Unified School District as Clappergate. The allegation is at an end-of-the-season banquet, players on the Del Norte High School girls softball team did not clap loud enough for the MVP, according to her mother, Marion Phelps, who was a school district superintendent. A lawsuit claims she started harassing and threatening her daughter's teammates for not clapping loud enough at that party last week.
The board has lost all confidence and trust in Dr. Phelps.
Phelps was fired from her job as superintendent.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 8 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. It's the fourth and final hour of our Friday show. We're going to wrap up the week with a bunch of an amalgam of stuff. We got a bunch of different things to talk about. It's been a weird day in one sense, in that we've apparently have this thing going on with the solar. What do they call it? A coronal mass ejection, a solar flare. It does have an impact on communications and electrical systems and electrical grids. It's really a bad solar storm. So unusual that indeed they say it's possible. I don't know. I would say likely, but at least possible that here in Nashville tonight, if the conditions are just right, you might see a little northern lights in the sky. But this thing is, I think it's playing havoc with our communications stuff. We've had a couple, well, you got to admit, some weird gremlins in the system today, Chris.
Yes, definitely. It's
we are dependent. We're dependent on computers and internet and a lot of high tech gear, and it's all got computer chips in it. And they've been acting weird today. You may find I'll get into this in greater detail in the second half of this hour about what this is all about. But you may find like your GPS is not working real good today. Or if you're, you count on certain kinds of high-tech communication systems, they might not be working just right today, because it really can wreak. A geomagnetic storm can really cause havoc, and so it sounds like this is going to be a pretty good one. We'll get details on that a little bit later. We've got some interesting stories to share with you here. We had an interesting phone call during Phone URFARB Friday in the 5 o'clock hour from a former lieutenant for the Nashville Police Department who had some details about this individual who has now been decommissioned as a police officer after participating, according to a police investigation, and police sources say he participated in a porn video. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. There are new developments, and we spoke to somebody who was a former insider at the police department who had a lot of background that you've not heard elsewhere. So stick around for that. I want to look back. I mean, we're going to do an amalgam of things today here. We're going to be all over the place. Tennessee tornadoes. We now have a total of 6 that have hit the state of Tennessee. That's the official ruling now from the National Weather Service. We have a lot more details about the ones that we were covering earlier in the week. In Columbia, it was an EF3 with 140 mile an hour winds and a half-mile wide base that traveled some 11 miles. The tornado touched down at 5:37 east of the city near Lofton Road in Columbia, and continued for about 30 minutes, where it then lifted near Flat Creek and Spring Hill. Multiple homes received damage along Cawthron Road and Cranford Hollow Road before the tornado moved north of Highway 412. The Weather Service wrote in public statements on the tornadoes. More intense damage began to occur on Old Highway 99 and Blackburn Lane, where large sections of roofs were removed and hundreds of trees were snapped or uprooted. It was on Blackburn Lane where the tornado reached maximum strength. The Cheryl Lovett was killed in her mobile home, which was swept away. Penny Lovett, who was in the home with Cheryl, was critically injured and flown to Vanderbilt Medical Center for care. 3 other, can you imagine trying to fly during this weather? Wow. 3 other people suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Murray Regional Medical Center reported. Rutherford County, an EF0, 80 mile an hour winds, touched down in Eagleville, traveled just under 3 miles to Bell Buckle. Robertson County tornado, the Weather Service identified a 3rd tornado at EF1, speeds of 90 miles an hour in Robertson County near Springfield. No specific details about that storm had been released as of Friday morning. In Giles County, they had a 4th tornado from the Wednesday outbreak in Prospect. EF2 had winds of 115 miles an hour, 600 yards wide, traveled about 5.7 miles, stopped just west of Interstate 65 down in Giles County. And then, let's see, 2 tornadoes, here we go. An EF0 in Wilson, not much, 8 miles northeast of Lebanon, mostly just trees. Reached about 70 miles an hour, touched down for about a half mile. And an EF1 tornado touched down Monday in DeKalb. That's about 3.3 miles, 100 mile an hour, the Weather Service said. No injuries with regards to those storms. By the way, the river is, I think, supposed to crest tomorrow, Cumberland River. Or maybe it would, but it's still high. I was supposed to be on the General Jackson this weekend.
Might want to reschedule that one.
Yeah,
huh?
well, it has been rescheduled. So, I think they're still doing a show dockside, but I don't think they're going to be going out. That's what I heard anyway. So there you have that. Flooding is still an issue, and the river is running, and the lakes here right now all above their normal levels. Looking in the world of politics, we have a president who just can't get the facts straight about the economy. He keeps talking about the wonders of Bidenomics, and everybody else is going, what wonders? And more trouble from that interview that he did with Aaron Burnett over at CNN the other day, where he tried to defend the economy that is indefensible. And he threw out this little tidbit, which turns out to be a whopper of immense proportions.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
He says inflation was 9% when he came to office.
Bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office.
What is it?
9%.
9%? No, it wasn't, Mr. President. I'm sorry. That is the wrong answer. It is not 9%. The correct answer is 1.4%. Big difference between 9% inflation and 1.4. It went up to 9% while you were president. But when you came into office, it was 1.4%. That interview he did just seemed to show that he has no real grasp on exactly what's going on with the American people. Here's a longer clip from that interview, very revealing interview done by Aaron Burnett over at CNN.
What about, but there's real pain. Grocery prices are up 30%, more than 30% since the beginning of the pandemic, and people are spending more on food and groceries than they have at any time really in the past 30 years. That's a real day-to-day pain that people feel.
It really is, and it's real. But the fact is that if you take a look at what the people have, they have the money to spend. It angers them and angers me that you have to spend more. For example, the whole idea of this notion that Senator Casey talked about, shrinkflation. I think it's on your
same
program.
price for a smaller bottle of juice or something.
For example, Snickers bar, they did a thing, and it's like 20% less for the same price. That's corporate greed. That's corporate greed. And we've got to deal with it, and that's what I'm working on.
Well, he doesn't understand even how inflation works. Inflation, if you're a business and you're dealing with inflation, why do you have inflation? Well, you got to raise your prices of your product because, number one, you have your expenses have gone up. The goods that you need to make your product have cost you more because of inflation. And then you to keep good people right now, you have to pay them more. So your wages have gone up, and that's a big expense for most businesses. The cost of whatever it takes to manufacture your product, it goes up. So you have as a company, you have really only 3 choices. One of them is not really a choice at all. One of them is you can take the hit and lose money. Companies aren't in business to lose money. That's not the way it works. So the other thing is you can say, well, we can raise prices. We can sell them the same amount, but because it costs us more, it's going to cost the customer more, and you have to raise prices. Or you can say, well, I'm going to cut back a little bit on the amount of product in the container, but we're going to charge them the same amount. It's 6 of one or half a dozen of the other. Do you want to pay more? Then they'll give you the full-size bottle. But most people don't want to pay more, so this is what they do. But it doesn't mean that it's greedy. It's simply they're trying to, do the best they can to hold on to their market share in a very rough economy. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand how it works. And this lack of understanding, he's getting a lot of criticism from people in his own party. People like David Axelrod, who when he speaks, it is often thought he speaks for Obama.
I don't understand this. I don't understand all these months later. I thought they spent $25 million mistakenly last fall touting Bidenomics and making the same argument that the president's making here. It is absolutely true. The world was plunged into an economic crisis, and America was plunged into an economic crisis by the pandemic, and we've come back faster than almost any other country. And he's right about that, but that's not the way people are experiencing the economy. They're experiencing it through the lens of the cost of living. And he is a man who's built his career on empathy. Why not lead with the empathy? And I think he's making a terrible mistake. It may not be, if he doesn't win this race, it may not be Donald Trump that beats him. It may be his own pride.
Here's James Carville's take on it, the man who said it's always the economy, stupid.
Well, let me join the head scratching. Okay? I don't think if people don't feel like they're in a good economy, you can't convince them. And I think there's a bunch of Ivy League economists, academic types that go in and say, sir, this is the best economy we've had since 1969. You have to go out and promote it. And that's not the world people are living in. And I agree with the critics that this is not the proper messaging. If you're 26 years old, you have no hope of buying a house, of educating children. You're probably living in the basement with your sister and your mother and daddy's house. And when President Biden tells how good the economy is, the reaction is, what's that guy talking about? But if you hold in a 3.5% mortgage, you're golden right now. But if you're trying to borrow a mortgage at 7%, you're not very golden.
He's just pointing out what is obvious is that our president shouldn't be talking about the economy, and he doesn't understand it. And it may be the thing that kills him, as far as re-election is concerned. Now, coming up in a few moments, there has been this very interesting story where a Nashville police officer has been decommissioned. According to the police and Metro Nashville Police, he was using a Metro Nashville uniform to do a mock arrest or a traffic stop, and it was part of a pornographic video. He's been dismissed, decommissioned, but just a few moments ago, we learned out a great deal more about this particular officer and some past issues. We'll share that with you after the break, 20 minutes past the hour. When you become a member of the Beehive Club over at Busy Bee HVAC and Plumbing, you receive a lot of things for your $99. Well, that's where it starts. $99 is the starting point, and you'll get for that amount of money 3 annual tune-ups, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing, 10% discount on repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, no overtime or holiday fees ever, exclusive Beehive member promotions, and by the way, if you want to do a big project, honestly, when you have to replace an entire system, nobody wants to do that, but it happens. I know I had to do it. And at Busy Bee, if you can pay it in full and within 15 months, 0 interest with approved credit. Plumbing projects, you get 18 months with approved credit. So, that's a lot there. It's a lot of things that going on at Busy Bee. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 775-7833, or online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 25 minutes past the hour. A weird story out of the Nashville Police Department. They have decommissioned an officer by the name of Sean Herman, let go from the department on Thursday. He was previously assigned to the Madison precinct. Apparently, he participated in a video on the website OnlyFans, and the folks at Channel 5 had a sort of a kind of a rundown on what this was all about. A little bit more about what the video may have shown. Here it is. Yeah. Metro Nashville police say they have fired former officer Sean Herman on Wednesday after a video surfaced of him groping a woman's breast while in uniform during a fake traffic stop. It says it's from a video that's entitled "Can't Believe He Didn't Arrest Me," and I'll see if I can sort of just cut down the basics of this story. The story goes like this, that a woman gets pulled over for speeding. He approaches. You don't really see his head, but you see part of the Nashville Metro Police Department uniform. And she says she's going to get out of the ticket by exposing herself. And he says, I can see that anywhere. This is 2024. He says, well, would I let you touch them? And so there's some groping that goes on. Then there's mutual groping that goes back on. And then I'm just going to read this because I'm not going to go look at it. But Scoop Nashville did. You can count on those people to always, so what do you call it? Rake the muck. After the traffic stop, apparently, 4 adults go to a hotel where they filmed a foursome scene that lasted 2 hours. So this thing goes on and on and on. In the last hour, during Phone URFARB Friday, our first caller was a guy by the name of Garrett Davidson, a former lieutenant with the Metro Nashville Police Department, who had a lot of inside background on this. And here's how that went.
So back in 2023, he was actually sustained on a violation of sexual harassment. And there were several things going on with that case that were concerning, but back then it was discovered that he had an undisclosed OnlyFans account, that there were some issues in his background file, relating to a Marine Corps incident, an incident of adultery, and that he was also possibly hooking up with downtown visitors there on Broadway. And so there was an investigation into his conduct back in 2023 relating how he was treating a female officer, making inappropriate sexual comments, and even at one point showing her a nude photograph of an ex-girlfriend. And so that case, he was sustained on that. The investigation was solid. They ended up giving him initially 8 suspension days and then bumped that up to 10 suspension days with a last chance agreement. And so that was, I guess about a year ago now, and those last chance agreements will typically last for about 1 year. And if there's new conduct of a similar nature, then that typically results in them losing their job.
Well, so that's new information that we had not heard before now, which adds a little bit more context to the story. And our appreciation to former Lieutenant Garrett Davidson for sharing that with us here on the drive. Look, he was immediately decommissioned. It is an embarrassment for those who take a great deal of pride in wearing that uniform to have it used in this way. And one just wonders how in the world, what kind of judgment was at play here? And it seemed, I don't know, but from what we're hearing about the past action, I don't know why he was granted a last chance agreement. Seemed like they had a lot on this guy, but one way or the other, he's no longer a police department officer. And I think we have now the questions I have is, why was he allowed to stay on is perhaps my biggest question. Why was he given this last chance, given all that apparently, as what we are told, was a very solid investigation? I don't know. Well, we'll keep watching that story, but it's pretty sordid. That's for dadgum sure. Time for the news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7. 37 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. You're listening to The Drive. The last few minutes of the show as I tell you what, I'm sort of glad to put this week to bed. This work week was this. I mean, with all the activity we had with the tornadoes and the flooding and everything else, I'd be glad to put this one behind us. Having a nice weekend. Mother's Day weekend's going to be great. Enjoy, I think, 80-degree weather on Sunday.
Yep.
Remember your
mothers.
That's
do something special. Give her a call if you're not in the same town.
Yeah, I always think back of my mom. She was she's passed, long past, but she was a formidable woman. And I have probably a little bit of my dad. My dad had a dry sense of humor. My mom was a rather outgoing and gregarious person, and would light up a room. Kind of very attractive woman. I don't know what happened there because I didn't get those. My sister got all those. Yeah. She got all those. There's no doubt about that. But she had a way of lighting up a room when she walked into the room. Everybody, people liked her, and she was very, very smart. Only had a high school education. But, I mean, if she'd have had the internet when she was younger, she would have been dangerous because she had an amazing ability to figure things out and to repair stuff. That, I remember one time, the washing machine broke down and I'll be doggone if she didn't get out there and took the whole dadgum thing apart and put it back together and got it working again.
That's impressive.
I mean, she could do that kind of stuff, and she had a real artistic flair and a real ability to. She was an amazing seamstress, just amazing. I mean, I used to wear sports coats that she made.
Wow.
I mean, really, she was
nice.
that good, a tailor, really. And so I think about her on Mother's Day. Sadly, I don't get to call her and wish her happy Mother's Day anymore. But anyway, if you don't pass up that opportunity. Yep. If you have it, it's really you really miss it when it's gone. And one of the reasons why I'm really sort of, this has been a weird week. We've had tornadoes, we had floods, and now we have mass coronal ejections. Wow. You say, what's that? Well, we're in the middle of you may not be able to detect it. We're right now at this very moment in the midst of a very powerful storm. It's a solar storm. And it is one of the biggest ones that we have. It's a G4. They rank these like they do tornadoes and hurricanes on a 1 to 5 scale. This is a G4, and they say it could be a mild G5. The problem is you don't ever know. And what happens is we're in a period of solar maximus right now, and the sun is very active, and there are solar flares that eject. Now, this happens a lot, but it doesn't always happen in a way that the solar flares are aimed directly at Earth. We got one going on. It's been going on for several days. There are 5 different flares that have gone off, and we see them before we feel them, if you get my drift. And we don't really know how intense they're going to be until they get about 1 million miles out. Well, the sun is 93 million miles away, so we don't get a lot of warning, but we get some sense of it, a few minutes warning about how intense they're going to be. Now, how intense is this one? Well, they say that, if you look at some of the history of these things, that you can knock out grids. It can. Power grids, if they're not hardened and protected against it. It can have an impact on communication systems, electrical systems. You're just throwing a lot of energy, geomagnetic energy, into our atmosphere. We're protected by our magnetic and our atmosphere and our magnetic poles. To a large degree, but this is what causes, those aurora borealis, the northern lights. Now they're saying, I'm not going to make a promise to you. I'm just saying that we're on the bubble. We're at sort of the far southern edge of this, but it is at least possible, they say, that tonight in Nashville you might see some northern lights. It may be so faint that you can't see it because of the lights of the city, etc. Got to be in a dark place. They say if you were to use long exposure photography, you might actually capture it better. It probably is too faint for the human eye, but if you did a long exposure on a camera, you might pick it up. But one way or the other, you might want to look out your window tonight because that is a rare thing. I've never seen the Northern Lights.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's on my list of things that I definitely want to see before I die. And I think I'd actually thought about taking a summer trip to Iceland this year to see if maybe I could catch them because and there's no guarantee, even if you're there. Alaska, you can see them up there sometimes, but no guarantees. I mean, the thing is, you can plan a trip and you get up there and then it's cloudy. You can't see anything anyway.
That's the problem,
Tonight, we're going to have clear skies. And by the way, if you don't catch it tonight, there'll be another chance at it tomorrow night, they say. So be aware that we are in a time where, electrical systems or computer systems or GPS systems, anything related to GPS, might be a little hinky for a day or two. And it is entirely possible that you could see, I don't think likely, but I think possible. Here's from the Daily Mail. A rare and powerful solar storm may occur in outer space today, which could wreak havoc on the Earth. The first in nearly 20 years if it happens. At least 5 streams of plasma known as coronal mass ejections are headed toward Earth, prompting the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, to issue a severe geomagnetic storm watch for Friday into the weekend. This is the first such alert aired since 2005, when the Earth was hit with a highest dose of radiation in half a century. This time around, the unusual event could disrupt electronic devices like GPS, parts of the power grid, NOAA said, while citing how it may drape a huge portion of the country as far south as Alabama, I think that's a stretch, in colorful natural lights. The CMEs exploded from a massive sunspot, an area on the sun that is cooler than the surface, paving the way for the alerts. It started essentially today about 11 o'clock our time for millions of Earthlings. You can't see it during the day, of course, but it could have an impact. I mean, we've had squirrely things happen today with our systems that I've never seen them happen before. Who knows if they're related, but, could be. They have issued a severe G4. As I said, a G4 out of 5. Moderate to strong solar flares since Wednesday have been happening. When one of these flares hit the Earth when we were in darkness, and so the people on the other side of the planet in Europe and Africa had some disruption of their communication processes. Geomagnetic storms can impact infrastructure in near-Earth orbit, on the Earth's surface. I would not want to be in the International Space Station, if that were to happen. But I'm fascinated by this story, this part of the story. The so-called 1859 Carrington event, the worst geomagnetic storm in recorded history. We've not had anything like this since before the Civil War. Named for an astronomer who noticed the unusual spots on the surface of the sun, the effects of which hit the Earth 18 hours later. That magnetic storm, a G5, caused sparks to fly from doorknobs, blocked telegraph wires, and caused auroras to be visible as far south as the Caribbean. So completely were the wires under the influence of the aurora borealis that it found utterly impossible to communicate between the telegraph stations, and the lines had to be closed, wrote the telegraph manager of the Rochester Union and advertiser at the time. Many effects at the time were spooky. Birds woke up and sang in the bright light of the storm at night. Telegraph workers across the eastern seaboard were able to shut off their batteries and transmit messages using only the induced current of the aurora power. The coming storm could reach levels within hailing distance of the Carrington event, according to some experts. While that was an extreme G5, this storm could reach a low G5. With the sun 93 million miles away, it's extremely difficult to forecast with a very good degree of accuracy exactly when these things will arrive. Until the CME gets to be about 1 million miles from Earth, scientists have no way of knowing just how impactful it may be. Our best guess is a G3 to a G4, but maybe a G5. A modern Carrington-class storm would be a very big deal, wrote Catherine Schultz in The New Yorker. A National Academy of Science report summarized found that extensive damage to satellites could compromise everything from communication to national security. See, here's the thing. We got satellites. It's amazing we have this technology. Out there in space, 1 million miles from Earth. There's a zone between the Earth and the sun where you can park satellites and they don't move because it's equidistant, just enough gravity from Earth, just enough gravity from the sun, and they just park out there, about 1 million miles out. So when they put out our solar satellites that we study the sun with and we monitor the sun with are out there, about 1 million miles out. So we don't get a real reading on how intense these geomagnetic storms are going to be until they hit that marker about 1 million miles out. Takes 18 hours. 18 hours.
That's crazy.
For the eruption to occur and it to arrive here on Earth. 93 million miles. It's amazing. When you think about these distances, they're just vast. So anyway, I mean, can you imagine something like what happened in 1859 happening today, where we didn't have electrical grids, we didn't have satellites in space, we didn't rely on computers, and we didn't rely on GPS, and when our national security apparatus was nothing like what it is today, with satellites that that we count on to keep us safe. So I mean, really amazing stuff. But again, not surprising given that we are in this period of solar maximus. But here's what I'm going to say to you about tonight. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night, if you can get to an area where there's not a lot of reflective light from cities and towns in the air, you may get a glimpse of something. It won't. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as if you were in Minnesota or something. Or maybe up in Michigan. You're definitely going to get a good show there, no doubt about it. It is now 50 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. There are a lot of diagnoses out there and a pill for everything, but not all diagnoses turn out accurate and not all pills are good for you. When you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. You could spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis that is not really the right diagnosis. Could save your vehicle's life, could save you a lot of money to get a second opinion. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. At Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices. Located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location in Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.